So I worked a 9 to 5 for about a year before I actually went full time with my video business. So it isn't something that I'd probably do again, but there's a lot that I learned in the process of doing that. So if you're a videographer, you're still working a 9 to 5 job, you're still in a job, and you want to go full time, you actually want to take this video skill that you have and turn it into a full time business so that you can go all in on something that you actually enjoy. So that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video is what I've learned, what I would do different on transitioning from a job to working full time. So let's jump right into it. So first we need to figure out like if going all in, being a full time freelance videographer is actually something that is good for you. So first off, we're just going to weigh out some of the pros and cons. So some of the cons that I've noticed is first off, you have to be willing to take on a lot of stress in the process. So when I first started, I was thinking, by going full time, I'd just be off on all these big shoots, only operating a camera, not having to do sales, not having to send contracts, not having to, get invoices, stuff like that. So there's a lot of stress that goes into it. Getting a business up and running, from ground zero to a successful video business, it's a lot to handle and it's a lot of stress that goes into it. So you at least need to know this going into it, right? I don't want you to be like, pushing, to go full time and then realizing you're not up for all that stress. So it's a lot of stress. I mean, running any business is a lot of stress. So you just need to realize that going into it. Next, you'll end up with, you'll end up working on your computer more than you're out in the field shooting. That's something I've realized. So my laptop here, this is like my most used tool. I'm usually sitting at the desk behind me, just working all day or outside on the porch. So, you have to realize like a lot of the work that it takes to get your business up and running, it isn't from operating a camera. It's from the kind of boring tasks that go into, getting clients, like I said, sending out contracts, delivering, like all these other things that you don't really think about. That's kind of actually where the money's at. So you just have to realize like, it's not all butterflies and rainbows. At the end of the day, you are starting a business. You have to learn all these, new skills that you probably don't know about if you just know how to operate a camera, but you don't know how to get clients. So just knowing that going into it, that's something I kind of wish I knew. But honestly, I still enjoy it. So I guess at this point, I'll just kind of list off some of the pros. So one of the big ones is obviously you're going to make a lot more money. So when I was working 9 to 5, I was part-time, but I was only doing like $1,200 a month. And then going full-time, I got it up to $12,000 per month. So very big difference. And the earning potential is not really capped when you're working for yourself. You are capped when you're working for a boss, right? They're going to tell you how much you make. They're going to tell you when you come in. It's a lot more strict. But you also have the stability. So that is an upside, of a 9 to 5. You have some stability. You can come in, work, clock out, and not have to think about it. And that's another con, I guess I'd say, for going full time is I never like stop thinking about the business. I go to bed thinking about how I can improve it, things I can do different. There's a lot of things that, it's a lot more stress, but it's also a lot more rewarding at the end of the day. Okay. So you'll make more money. You'll also be able to work on more projects that you actually like, right? A lot of times when you're working a 9 to 5 job, I had it good because I was able to do photography in my job, but a lot of you might not even have that. But for me, I wasn't really doing projects that I still enjoyed them, but not as much as what I do now. So, you'll be able to work projects that you actually like. You can pick a niche that you enjoy and you can shoot projects for that niche and make a lot of money in the process, like I'm talking about. So that's definitely an upside, something I really enjoy. And you can also afford a lot better gear, right? When you're working a job, let's say you have, the, ability to work as a videographer or photographer in your job. That's great already. So, but if you go full time, let's say you're in your job, you're kind of limited to how much gear you have, right? They gave me a camera, I used it, but I wasn't able to keep buying more gear for the sake of me being able to use it, right? It was all company gear. So when you go full time, you can, it's all your gear. You can upgrade it. You can build it out. You can make all these crazy rigs that you actually enjoy using. So obviously you get more gear. And then also I'd say at the end of the day, it's really the freedom that I enjoy the most, right? I can, work from home. I can, work honestly wherever I want, right? I could, I go between Idaho and Tennessee. I enjoy that. I enjoy being flexible with that. So, just the freedom overall to not have a boss, telling me when to come in. I enjoy that, right? So that's definitely a pro for going all in. So now that we've kind of just like talked about some of the pros and cons, like, is freelance videography right for you? You're going to have to figure that out. If you don't want any stress in your life, if you just want to clock in and clock out, this might not be for you. There's a lot of stress that goes into it. It's like, to put it this way, I didn't expect to be doing any of the business side of it when I first started, right? I thought I'd be operating a camera, maybe doing like a couple hours of sales, and that's it. So big takeaway here is like, it's a lot more to the business side than you actually think, right? The amount of times I'm just operating a camera, it's a lot smaller than I thought it would be when I first started. So just take that into consideration. But if you are like me and you just want to keep, reaching new levels, keep making more money, keep shooting bigger projects, this might be for you. So, like I said, take some time to think about it, figure out if this is actually something you're going to move forward with, right? It's a lot of work going into it, but it pays off a lot better, all right? Next up is timing your transition to freelance videography, right? So you probably aren't just gonna, finish this video, call your boss, tell them you're quitting, right? There's a transition process. You have to figure out when is a good time to actually quit. So there's two ways I've found, to really go about doing this. The first one is to build a side income that actually replaces your main 9 to 5, right? So as you're working a job on the side, in your free time, you start building up this business, right? That's what I did. And then I got my first retainer client, and at that point, I was able to replace it. So, basically you want to build up your side income so that it's at least making as much as your 9 to 5. At that point, I'd say just go all in, right? Once they're on retainer, I'll talk about that in a little bit. But basically, you want to make sure it's not like you get one big month, you go all in, and then the next month is just nothing. You want to have consistent income, at least for this foreseeable future, right? So that's one option. That's what I personally did. The second option is basically to save capital and kind of build up a runway. So basically, you're building up a certain amount of capital that you can kind of just burn, right? Maybe it takes 3, maybe it takes 6 months to get your business off the ground. So kind of just saving some capital so you can quit and go all in and not go broke in the process. You actually have some padding, some runway. So those were the two options. Like I said, I did option 1, but both of them work. So the downside to the first option, building something on the side, is it's going to be a lot longer of a process, right? Trying to balance working a job and building up a business from scratch is going to be very difficult, right? It's a lot of work that goes into it. Fortunately, I had a mentor who kind of sped up that process, but if I were trying to figure that out from scratch, I would not be anywhere near where I am today. So it's going to take a lot of time. And at the end of the day, like, if you finish a job, working your 9 to 5, by the time you get home, you're just going to be drained, right? You don't have unlimited energy. So that's the downside to option 1. Option 2 is, let's say you go all in, you have some capital, but you don't get your business up and running within, the 3 or 6 months that you plan, however long you plan for it, then you have to go back to another 9 to 5. So, you kind of just have to figure out which one works for you. Like I said, I'm kind of just sharing what worked for me, what I would have done different, like what the options are. This has kind of been, my thought process when I did that. So hopefully that kind of helps. Like I said, option 1, you just build a side income while you're working a job, and then eventually it replaces it. Option 2 is basically you just save capital while you're working a 9 to 5, then you just quit, and then you have something to live off of for however long it takes you, right? So those are generally the two options that you have, okay? So next is, the steps you actually need to take to become a freelance videographer, right? So you're going to have to take action. You're going to have to, go do something, right? I don't want you to watch this video and then just go right back to watching more YouTube videos and just keep working your 9 to 5 for the next 5 years, right? There's people out there who do that. So I want to make sure you actually are able to leave your job if this is something you're genuinely trying to do, right? Like I said that at the beginning, you at least need to figure out if this is something you want to do. If you don't have your why, then you won't be able to actually implement it. So make sure you have a strong why. Like, why am I actually quitting my 9 to 5? Because like I said, there is a lot of stability in a job. So I'm not saying just like mindlessly go quit, right? So some steps to becoming, a full-time, videographer, working for yourself. So first off, the biggest takeaway that I found is you need retainer clients. What are retainer clients? I literally just dropped a video on this, like, yesterday or something, right? Retainer clients are basically, clients who come back and pay you on generally a monthly basis, right? So this is kind of how you're going to replace it, right? A job is paying you generally weekly or monthly. You're getting consistent income coming in, right? You want the exact same thing for your video business. You want to have consistent income coming in. Otherwise, you'll just have these roller coaster months. Maybe one month you have 10K, another month you have 100. You don't want to be doing that. So you want consistent income. And the way you do that is with retainer clients. So basically you sign them on for, a 3, 6, even 12-month contract. Sometimes it's even longer, 3 or 4 years. So, try to get them on retainer so they're coming back every single month. All right. So I made a video on specifically retainer clients. So definitely go watch that. But some basic packages could be social media, right? I've been on a 6-month retainer with a client for social media, right? It's just some reels, some photos, and that's it. They pay me every single month, and that was literally enough to more than double my income from my 9 to 5. So, retainer clients are huge, and honestly, I wouldn't recommend you go all in without retainer clients. It's really risky, right? So you want retainer clients, and also you want to have them locked in with a contract. So let's say you say, I got a retainer client, but they didn't sign a contract. They said, yeah, I'll pay you every month. You can't quit your 9 to 5, which is your main income, just on someone's word, right? You want to make sure it's in writing, that it's locked in, so they are actually going to pay you, right? That's a very big, and it's very important. You want to make sure that's, that you've done that. So let's say you do get a retainer client, like I said, but if they're not locked in with the contract, that doesn't guarantee consistent income. And you don't want to leave your 9 to 5 if you don't have income coming in, right? So you just want to make sure it's locked in via a contract. So I've got a contract template that I'm actually just giving out for free. So if you want that, just shoot me a DM on Instagram. I want to say the keyword is like contract. I've got an automation set up that'll shoot that over to you. So big thing here is just, like I said, having a contract in place, and also, obviously getting retainer clients. You don't want to go all in, from your job, going full time, unless you have, these two things at least, right? That's just going to give you consistent income, and it's going to lock it in place. So at the end of the day, you're just going to have to think through, like, if this is something you're up for, are you willing to take on the stress that it, requires? Are you willing to learn, different skills like sales, marketing, branding, stuff like that? There's a lot of different skills that, that go into running a business, right? It's not just, learning how to shoot manual or learning what camera to use. There's a lot of other things that go into it. So if you're up for it, if you're willing to, put in the work, then I'd say full send it. But honestly, like I said, at least if you do it, get retainers and get a contract signed. So that's basically it. Like I said, just wanted to walk you through my thought process, like, what was going through my mind, and also what I've learned. All right. So if I were going back and doing it again, I'd say, when I did do it, it was a very smooth process because I had retainer clients in place. So that's it for this one. I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.